Unfortunately, it's become far too common that what we're hearing about is fights in school among students. Hi, my name is Susan Lawson. I'm a board-certified attorney here at the Rossen Law Firm. And today I'm here to talk to you about school fights and the legal consequences of such fights. When a fight happens at school, a lot of times, it's captured on the school video surveillance, not always, but cell phones have become ever so common in schools. So normally there's some sort of video recording of these fights. So when a fight happens, teachers respond, school personnel responds, and normally there's an investigation that goes on through the school board, which is different from potential criminal charges. It can be related, but normally it's separate. Normally what they do is both students are suspended. They'll look into investigate the case and look into, if anyone should be expelled. That's the school board aspect. A lot of times, unfortunately, if someone's even being bullied, they will defend themselves, but they'll still decide to pursue legal action, will get involved, and decide to go after them legally, criminally in these cases, and they'll say, figure it out later in court. So what do you do when you're dealing with a situation like that? So the first thing to do is to contact an attorney like the Rossen Law Firm, one of us here, right away, because it's really important to seek counsel. There's certain things we can do in the beginning to preserve evidence, to make sure those videos aren't destroyed. Early on, we can reach out to pre-file attorneys and do certain things that will later help the case in the big picture. Another thing is, parents believe that juveniles cannot be questioned by law enforcement without the parent being there. That's not always the case. And a lot of times juveniles are questioned, unfortunately, without their guardian or parent being there. So we would never want a student to talk to law enforcement without one of us or a lawyer being present, because as we know, things can be misconstrued and later used against them. And anything we tell law enforcement cannot be used against them. So what should parents do if your child is involved in a school fight? Reach out to a lawyer, someone who has expertise such as us in juvenile cases right away. That's the first thing that should be done. And then prior to a case, even someone getting your child potentially being arrested, right? We can call law enforcement, speak to them, see if there's a way that, we can bring them in, make it on our terms, not their terms. But the most important thing is in these school fights, right, is to make sure you protect your child and to make sure that, in these situations that you're getting the proper legal advice and dealing with the case, because we've had so many of these fights. So what is a fight under the law? A fight can be construed as a misdemeanor battery, right? An unwanted touching. But depending on, a lot of times, there are situations where the injuries could be more severe. If the injuries are more severe, they could potentially look into arresting and ultimately filing charges under felony battery. Whereas a misdemeanor battery, the maximum penalty is 364 days. A felony, the maximum penalty is 5 years. So we're dealing with your child's future. So we want to make sure from the beginning they are protected, their rights are defended. So that is why it is so important to get a lawyer early on. And that's how a criminal defense attorney can help in these situations, right? We can right away get in early on, get mitigation, work the legal process, reach out to law enforcement, reach out to the state attorney's office, hopefully try to prevent charges from ever getting filed. If they do get filed, there's also in juvenile court, there's a detention hearing we can help with. There's diversion programs, which we can fight to get a child in so they do certain things, and hopefully the case never makes it to court. Or if it does make it to court and they enter a program, if we can get them in, then the case ultimately gets dropped. There's a lot we can do as far as reaching out and getting them into a potential pre-diversion program, post-diversion program. That's if the state decides to move forward with charges. Ultimately, that's what we're trying to prevent. So in sum, there is so much criminal defense attorneys like us can do to help from the very beginning through the process, to help when a fight in school, right? Your student might be defending themselves. If a diversion program is not an option, there's also, self-defense, stand your ground. We can fight the case throughout. That is why it's so important to reach out, seek counsel so the evidence can be preserved. And from the beginning, we can try to prevent charges from being filed in some. If charges are filed, get the best possible resolution so nothing is left on your child's record, and they can go on to have a bright and successful future. So those are the takeaways from the video that I wanted to share with all of you. We ask that you go to our website, Rossen Law Firm, our YouTube page, and for further information, you can always reach out if you have any additional questions, 754-206-6200.